On the eve of our wedding, my fiancée, Monica, had someone get me drunk and sent me to her best friend's room. Her childhood friend, Ethan, feigned concern for me. Isn't this a bit harsh on Frank? What if something actually happens between them? Monica just laughed it off. What's the big deal? Marriage is for life. You're the one who said this was just a test. Besides, once his reputation is ruined, he'll have no choice but to marry me. The next day, photos of me in a room with her best friend were leaked online. I was instantly dragged through the mud, facing a storm of public condemnation. Monica said nothing publicly, but she bragged to her friends, Ethan's plan worked perfectly. Let's see if he still dares to act like the man of the house after we're married. She added, just wait. After a few days of stewing in his own shame, he'll come crawling back, begging me to marry him. I heard every word of their conversation. I immediately turned and called her wealthy best friend, Diana. Are you free to get a marriage license? Meet me at City Hall. Later, on what was supposed to be our wedding day, Monica stood there in her magnificent wedding gown, but I never showed up. Instead, the wedding livestream of me and her best friend, Diana, became the #1 trending topic on Twitter. Frank, do you have any idea what you're saying? Diana was silent for a long moment before she finally responded. I do, I replied without hesitation. I knew the call was incredibly forward, but at that moment, it was the best way I could think of to get back at them. I expected Diana to hang up on me or call me crazy. After all, everyone knew she was Monica's best friend. She had even helped me plan the entire proposal. But on that day, right after I put the ring on Monica's finger, a call came from Ethan, and she left me standing there alone without a second thought. I waited like an idiot for her all night, but she never came back. Diana hadn't left either. She stayed there with me through the entire night. I let out a self-deprecating laugh at the memory. Then, her voice came through the phone, clear and simple. I'll do it. I never expected her to agree so readily. Thank you, I said. Once this is all over, we can get a divorce whenever you want. After he hung up, I received an anonymous video on my phone. I opened it. The footage was shaky, showing Monica and her circle of friends at a poker game. A mocking voice piped up. Monica, the internet is blowing up about your fiancé. So, are you and Diana still friends? How are you going to clean up this mess? Monica, the center of attention, held her wine glass and casually drew a card, smirking. What's the rush? The wedding is still a few days away. She played her card, then added slowly, you have to let a man stew for a bit. Right now, he's panicking. Once he's truly scared, his reputation completely destroyed, with nowhere else to turn, he'll come crawling back to me. And then, he'll do whatever I say. The group erupted in knowing laughter, and someone winked, adding a dirty joke. Exactly. You'll have him wrapped around your finger. He won't dare to disobey you. Monica just laughed, implicitly agreeing with the humiliating comment. The video cut off there. It was sent anonymously, but a watch visible on the wrist of the person filming told me exactly who sent it. I opened my iMessage conversation with Monica. The last message was from 3 days ago. She had written, Frank, Ethan is like a brother to me. I grew up with him. What's wrong with me being concerned about him? Don't be so childish. I hadn't replied then, and I certainly had no reason to reply now. I wasn't angry. I just went about my business. An hour later, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Monica and Ethan standing there together. Frank, why haven't you been answering my calls? Monica asked, her tone accusatory as she walked in. Then, she switched to a condescending one. All right, stop sulking. Ethan was so worried about you. He insisted on coming with me to check on you. Ethan stood behind her, looking aggrieved. Frank, please don't blame Monica. If you have to blame someone, blame me. It was my stupid idea. We were only trying to help. I looked at the two of them, my stomach churning. Right, I know. I said, try my best to keep my voice steady. My composure clearly surprised her. Monica paused for a second, then a smug smile spread across her face as if she'd figured it out. I knew you wouldn't hold a grudge. As the future heir to the Monroe fortune, you need to be the bigger person. I forced a smile, but Monica was oblivious to my real feelings. By the way, have you picked out your tuxedo? This is a huge deal, and Ethan studied fashion design, so maybe... I cut her off, pretending not to understand her hint. No need. I've already chosen one. It's already been delivered. A look of disappointment crossed Ethan's face. Oh, is that right? I guess the tuxedo I pulled all-nighters for a week designing for you won't be needed. Seeing him look so dejected, Monica immediately wrapped her arms around him protectively, then turned to glare at me. Frank, I just said you were being mature. Can't you be more gracious? Apologize to Ethan right now. I almost laughed. Apologize for what? It was my wedding. Didn't I have the right to choose my own tuxedo? Ethan looked like he wanted to say something. Monica, it's all my fault. I should have asked him first. Please don't fight. The next second, he turned and ran out of the house. Frank, are you happy now? Monica shot me a furious look before taking off after him in her high heels. Her retreating figure was frantic and desperate, just like it used to be. It felt like I was 20 again. Back then, she was the one who chased me. We were young and reckless, and she always loved to tease me. I'd get upset over little things and storm off, and she would always chase after me within seconds, grabbing my wrist with a grin. What are you mad about now? The sun was bright back then, but her smile was brighter. I could shake her off 100 times, and she would still chase me, breathless, until even her own mother would laugh and say she was blinded by love. But now, she still gives chase, only it's no longer for me. At 11 that night, I got a call from Monica. I'm giving you a chance to apologize for what happened today, she said in a low voice. Ethan is here. Come over, buy him a drink, and we'll call it even. All right, I said quietly. Give me 20 minutes. When I walked into the bar, Ethan had his arm around Monica's waist, feeding her a drink, surrounded by their usual entourage. Someone catcalled, "Hey, look who it is." The groom-to-be. Monica leaned lazily against Ethan's shoulder and pointed to a bottle of tequila on the table. "You're late. 3 shots, penalty." Ethan gently interjected. "Monica, Frank can't hold his liquor. Then he needs the practice," Monica said with a knowing smile. "He has a lot of toast to make at the wedding, after all." I didn't move. I don't drink. You know that. Her expression instantly turned cold. "Were you just trying to disrespect me?" The room went silent. Everyone was waiting for the drama to unfold. I suddenly smiled and picked up the fullest glass. "A toast, you said?" "Fiancée." Before anyone could react, I flicked my wrist and threw the entire drink right in Ethan's face. The amber liquid dripped from his hair as he shot up from his seat, furious. Monica jumped to her feet, her hand raised to slap me. "Are you insane?" Instead of backing away, I stepped closer, whispering so only she could hear. That was my apology. Her hand froze in midair, the color draining from her face. "Frank," I calmly pulled a napkin from the dispenser and wiped my hands. "The toast is made, the joke is told. You all carry on." Outside the bar, a Lamborghini was waiting with its hazards on. Diana was in the driver's seat. "Have fun," she asked as I got in. I buckled my seatbelt. It was all right. She started the engine. "Picking a fight with your own fiancé. That's cold." I watched the city lights blur past the window. "This is nothing. I have a much bigger surprise planned for them on the wedding day." It wasn't until I got out of the car in front of my house that I noticed another car had been following us. I looked back and saw Monica standing in the shadows, her eyes locked on me, and Diana inside the car. She recognized the car. It was one of a kind, and in our circle, people knew who drove what. She knew it was Diana. I gave Diana a quick wave, and she hit the gas and drove off. The moment the Lamborghini's taillights vanished around the corner, Monica emerged from the shadows, closing the distance between us. She blocked my path. "Aren't you going to explain?" I took out my keys, my voice devoid of emotion. "She gave me a ride." She grabbed my wrist. "A ride? She just happened to pick you up the second you left me? Have you two been seeing each other behind my back?" "Monica!" I cut her off. "When you were scheming to get me into another woman's room, did you ever stop to think about who the despicable one really is?" Her hand trembled, but her grip tightened. "So this is your revenge? Getting involved with Diana?" I let out a short, bitter laugh. "Revenge? You're not worth the effort." Her face went pale with rage. "Fiancée, just fine. The wedding is still on. Even if you die, you'll die as the heir to the Monroe family. And what if I refuse?" I challenged. She leaned in close, her voice a low threat. "Your father was just promoted to deputy chief of medicine. I wonder how his record would hold up under scrutiny. And your mother's art gallery." Before she could finish, another voice cut in. "Frank." Ethan got out of the car and casually draped his arm over Monica's shoulder, giving me a wide smile. "Frank, what a coincidence. I was just dropping Monica home and saw you here." Monica instinctively tried to pull away, but Ethan held her tighter. "So, who dropped you off this late? It wasn't Diana, was it?" He feigned shock. "How could you two be together?" I watched his little performance with cold detachment. "It's none of your business." Ethan scratched his head, feigning innocence. "But you're about to marry Monica. It wouldn't look good if people heard you were out late with another woman." That was all it took to set Monica off. "Frank, do you have to be so disgusting?" Ethan gently patted her back. "Monica, calm down. Frank is probably just confused right now." He then turned to me, his voice soft. "Frank, I know you're mad at me, but you can't take it out on Monica like this. And Diana, she's your fiancé's best friend. If word of this gets out, all 3 of your reputations will be destroyed." "Enough." Monica cut him off, her voice icy as she spoke to me. "From now on, you're staying home. You're not to go anywhere. And if I see you with Diana again, you'll what?" I met her gaze without flinching. Set her up like you did me? Or will you go back to threatening my family? Ethan gently took Monica's hand. Monica, don't be angry. He's just not thinking straight. We can talk him around. I was done arguing with them and walked inside. In the days leading up to the wedding, I didn't see Monica at all, but she was constantly appearing in Ethan's Facebook posts. I couldn't have cared less. The wedding day arrived as planned. Monica was pacing anxiously inside the church in Chicago. All the guests were seated. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, illuminating her expensive gown, but it couldn't conjure an ounce of bridal joy on her face. "Where is Frank?" she hissed at her maid of honor for the third time. "Is his phone still off?" A long time passed, and there was still no sign of me. Just then, a side door swung open. Monica's eyes lit up, her brewing anger instantly replaced by a triumphant smirk. I had come after all. But as the man in the tuxedo walked slowly down the aisle, her eyes widened in shock. "Ethan!" Monica stared at him in disbelief. "What are you doing in a tuxedo?" Ethan smiled innocently, but he spoke loud enough for the front pews to hear. "Monica, I just want to be prepared. In case, he really didn't show up. I couldn't let you be embarrassed in front of all these people." A wave of murmurs went through the guests. Before Monica could respond, one of her friends ran up to her, phone in hand, her face as white as a sheet. "Monica! It's a disaster," she cried out. "Frank and Diana's wedding live stream is the #1 trending topic on Twitter. My wedding to Diana was held at a private estate just outside of San Francisco. Sunlight dappled through her pure white veil, and below the altar sat our true friends and family, their faces filled with genuine happiness for us. The officiant, a close friend of Diana's, was in the middle of the vows, saying the words for richer, for poorer. Suddenly, the heavy, ornate doors of the estate were slammed open with a bang. A figure stood silhouetted against the light, panting heavily in the doorway. Her expensive wedding gown was in disarray, her hair was matted with sweat, and her eyes were bloodshot. It was Monica. She stared at me, having clearly run all the way here, completely stripped of her usual Monroe family poise. Her voice was shrill with disbelief and rage. "Frank, you son of a bitch, you actually did it?" The entire room erupted in gasps. Guests turned in their seats, and security guards moved quickly to intercept her. As several guards restrained her by the arms, she seemed to freeze for a second. I took a step forward, subtly moving Diana behind me. That small gesture seemed to push Monica over the edge. "Diana, I treated you like a sister." As they began to drag her away, she struggled against them, her trembling hand pointing at me. "You too, when did this start? Were you cheating on me this whole time?" I gently placed a hand on Diana's arm to stop her from stepping forward, signaling that I would handle it. With everyone watching, I walked slowly to the front of the altar to face the hysterical woman. My voice was calm as it carried through the microphone to every corner of the hall. "Monica, do I need to remind you? You're the one who sent me to your best friend's room." She froze, looking as if an invisible hand were squeezing her throat, rendering her speechless. "As for today," I said, a slight smile on my lips as my eyes swept over her pale face, "this is my wedding, and you, an uninvited guest, are not welcome here." Guests in the audience started to speak up. "Mr. Jiang and Ms. Hayes sent us invitations weeks ago. The whole city knew. How could this be fake?" "Exactly." The invitation clearly said Frank Jiang and Diana Hayes. As more people chimed in, Monica's face shifted through shades of red and white. Invitations. Monica's pupils contracted. Ethan had told her not to send them out too early, warning her that it would make me complacent. She had believed him and let him handle it. I turned to the security team. "Please escort her out," I said, my voice like ice. "Frank, are you really going to marry her? Do you think she actually loves you?" "This is just a whim." As the guards forcibly removed her, Monica decided to go for broke, screaming, "Everyone knows Diana has a first love who died years ago." Diana, who had been silent until now, suddenly stepped past me and slapped Monica hard across the face. A red handprint bloomed on Monica's cheek, but her eyes remained fixed on me. "See? I hit a nerve, didn't I? Do you really think she loves you?" "You're just a substitute for him," she shrieked. "Don't be a fool, Frank. I'm the one who truly loves you." At her words, I saw Diana's hands clench into fists at her sides, as if she were holding something back. In truth, I didn't care. Our marriage was just a partnership. Her history with a first love had nothing to do with me. But I couldn't stand Monica humiliating Diana in front of everyone like this. I knew that as soon as people left this ceremony, our marriage would become the juiciest piece of gossip in our social circle. The hall was dead silent. In front of everyone, I walked slowly over to Monica and, without a moment's hesitation, slapped her across the face. It was the first time I had ever hit her, and it would be the last. The sharp sound echoed through the silent hall. Monica's head snapped to the side, a red imprint already forming on her cheek. She turned back to me, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Frank, you hit me? For her? Have you forgotten who was by your side for the last 3 years? 3 years. You have the nerve to bring up 3 years?" I said coldly. "Being with someone like you was the biggest waste of 3 years of my life." She froze, the meaning of my words slowly dawning on her, her expression shifting to one of utter shock. Murmurs rippled through the guests. "A waste, you called it a waste?" Monica violently threw off the guard who tried to restrain her again. She pointed a shaking finger at Diana and screamed at the crowd. "Do you all know? This perfect Diana Hayes has been carrying a torch for her dead first love all these years. She only married Frank because he looks like him. Frank, wake up. You're nothing but a pathetic replacement." The room erupted. Just then, a frantic voice cut through the noise. "Monica, stop it, please." Ethan came running in from side door. He rushed to Monica's side and turned to face me, his voice dripping with false apology. "Frank, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I was worried Monica was taking things too hard, so I told her about Diana's first love. I never imagined she would blurt it out here and ruin your wedding." His words, disguised as an apology, only served to confirm the rumor while absolving himself of all blame, painting Monica as the villain and himself as a concerned friend. "Don't you dare apologize. He brought this on himself." Monica grabbed Ethan's hand, their fingers lacing together. She shot me a final, sarcastic look. "Fina, I'll leave you two to it. I'll be waiting for you to come crawling back to me, Frank." I watched them leave. Beggar? We'd see who would be begging whom. That night, we didn't go to the suite that had been booked for me and Monica. Instead, we went to a penthouse apartment Diana owned in downtown Los Angeles. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of the city, but inside, the atmosphere was thick with awkwardness. I changed out of my tuxedo into a pair of silk pajama pants and sat on the couch. Diana handed me a glass of warm milk before pouring herself a whiskey and leaning against the kitchen island. The silence was so complete I could hear us breathing. "About today," I began, breaking the quiet and choosing my words carefully. "Thank you for going through with this whole charade with me." The hand swirling her glass stilled. She looked up at me, her expression unreadable. "Just a charade?" I managed a weak, humorless smile. "Of course. That's what we agreed to, right? A mutually beneficial arrangement. Once this mess is sorted out, we can get divorced whenever you want." I deliberately ignored the strange pang in my chest and focused on the stream of headlights outside. "And as for your past, what Monica said, don't worry about it. I won't ask any questions. Everyone has a past." I said it as casually as I could, as if it truly didn't matter to me. Diana's deep eyes were fixed on me. She pressed her lips together as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, she just downed her drink in one go. "Okay," she said, her voice tired. She offered no explanation. The days that followed were quiet. Diana and I lived together like polite, distant roommates. She was thoughtful and considerate, perfect in every way, but there was always an invisible barrier between us. Things on Monica's end seemed to have quieted down. I heard her family was furious with her for the wedding fiasco and had demanded she find a way to bring me back into the fold. But it was too late for that. I ran into Monica again at a corporate gala. As I was getting ready to leave, she blocked my path. Her tone was softer now, but still held that familiar, condescending certainty. "Frank, stop this nonsense. I know you still love me. You're just too proud to admit you were wrong. You even married a random woman just to get back at me." Before she could finish, Diana's arm slid through mine. Her voice was cool and steady. "Miss Monroe, I suggest you watch your tone. Frank is my husband now, and I won't tolerate you speaking to him that way." Monica's eyes, instantly turning red, darted to Diana's hand on my arm. She stared at my face, searching for any sign that this was an act, any hint of reluctance. But all she found was me, completely at ease with Diana, and a look in my eyes that held nothing but pure indifference for her. "Frank," she whispered, her voice cracking with a desperate edge. "Look at me. Tell me this is all a lie. How could you love someone else? After everything we had?" I met her gaze, my voice even. "Monica, whatever we had died the moment you set me up. Now please stay out of my life. The sight of you makes me sick." She stumbled back a step, the color draining from her face, as if she was finally realizing that I wasn't just sulking. I was done with her for good. One day, I was at my mother's art gallery, taking care of some business. As I was starting my car that evening, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Ethan. He said Monica was a wreck because of me and wanted to talk. He suggested a secluded coffee shop in Pasadena. I met Ethan as planned. He was wearing a thin shirt, and I couldn't help but notice the fresh, angry-looking scratches across his collarbone. "Frank, long time no see," he said. It was clear then that he hadn't called me here for Monica's sake. He was just here to flaunt their relationship and rub my nose in it. Too bad for him. I didn't give him the reaction he wanted. Monica meant nothing to me anymore. I looked him over. "Congratulations. Glad to see you two finally made it official." With that, I turned and walked out of the coffee shop without another word. I just pulled out onto the street. Suddenly, an out-of-control truck came out of nowhere and slammed into the driver's side of my car. The force of the impact was immense, and I lost consciousness instantly. Just before everything went black, I thought I saw Ethan standing on the sidewalk nearby, a smug smile on his face. The sharp smell of antiseptic filled my nose. When I opened my eyes, everything was white. "Frank, you're awake," a familiar voice called out, and then Diana's face came into view. She was gripping my hand tightly. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she had dark circles under them. She looked exhausted. I looked at her, my expression blank and confused. Diana, my memory was a total blur. She seemed to be the only person I recognized. A look of pure relief washed over Diana's face. She immediately hit the call button, her voice shaking with excitement. Doctor, he's awake." After a series of tests, the doctor's diagnosis was severe head trauma resulting in partial amnesia. When Monica heard the news, she rushed to the hospital, but my memory of her was completely gone. She looked at me, her voice trembling. "Frank, it's me. I'm your fiancé." I just shook my head. "You must have the wrong person. I'm married. My wife's name is Diana." Monica stared at me, unable to believe I had forgotten her, until a phone call forced her to leave in a hurry. The next time I saw her, she brought a man with her, introducing him as Ethan. Monica's voice was sharp and impatient. "Kneel down and apologize. Do I have to spell out for you?" I didn't understand what was happening. I just watched them. Ethan reluctantly got on his knees and started apologizing profusely. It was then that I started to understand. He was the one responsible for my accident. I waved a dismissive hand. "Apologizing to me is useless. Go tell it to the police." Suddenly, Monica rushed forward and threw her arms around me. "Frank, you'll get better. We still have to have our wedding. You'll be fine." I tried to push her away, but couldn't. Not until Diana burst into the room, pulled Monica off me, and slapped her hard across the face. "Stay away from him, you bitch," Diana snarled. Monica's eyes were filled with jealousy, but not a shred of concern for my well-being. Seeing that, I was more certain than ever that she couldn't possibly be my fiancée. She didn't care about me. She just couldn't stand the thought of me being with Diana, like a child whose favorite toy had been taken away. My gaze shifted to Ethan, who was still trembling on the floor. "Get them out of here. It's too loud." The next moment, Diana had security escort them out. In the days that followed, Diana never left my side, caring for me with a gentle patience that made her the one person I trusted in the blank slate of my mind. That held true until one afternoon when she was helping me walk through the hospital garden. A child chasing a ball accidentally ran into me, knocking me off balance. I fell hard, hitting my head on a metal railing. A searing pain shot through my skull, and then, like a film reel, memories began to flood back. The summer I was 18. A torrential downpour on a winding mountain road in Malibu. A sports car spinning out of control. The terrified face of the girl beside me. It was Diana. The girl I had been arguing with, the one who held me tight as the car crashed, was Diana. I remembered the hospital, my parents' exhausted, grief-stricken faces, and hearing them beg Diana's family to keep the truth of what happened a secret. Everything from before that first accident, everything about Diana, it all came rushing back with perfect clarity. I stood frozen, tears streaming down my face. Diana knelt beside me, her voice filled with alarm as she gently wiped my cheeks. "Frank, what is it? Does your head hurt again?" I looked up at her, really looked at her, the woman I had forgotten for so many years, who had stayed by my side through it all. My heart ached with a feeling I couldn't name. I opened my mouth, and a name I hadn't spoken in years escaped my lips. Diana froze, her eyes wide with disbelief, her voice trembling. What did you just call me?" I had all my memories back, including everything that had happened with Monica. She and Ethan were nothing more than a detour, a pair of clowns in a misplaced chapter of my life. But that didn't mean I was going to let them get away with what they'd done. Ethan had orchestrated the car accident with intent to kill. The evidence was irrefutable. Diana had already pulled the traffic camera footage and given it to the police. As for Monica, even after learning that my memory had returned and that Diana and I were closer than ever, she couldn't help herself, constantly trying to get my attention. She found me and tried to appeal to our shared past. I looked at her calmly, feeling neither love nor hate, only a vast emptiness. Monica, we were a mistake from the very beginning. You took advantage of my amnesia and built a relationship on a lie. Now, things are finally back where they should be. Where they should be. You mean with Diana? Monica shrieked. She's just getting my leftovers. I smiled, but it was a smile of pity. You know, a long time ago, before I ever met you, she was my life. You're the one who stole the years that should have been hers. Monica was stunned into silence, unable to process it. Ethan ended up in prison. The Monroe family business, already reeling from previous scandals and now facing quiet pressure from the Hayes family, went into a steep decline. Their glory days were over. And Monica, in the end, lost everything: love, friendship, and her dignity, fading into obscurity. As for Diana and me, we decided to have another wedding. This time, it was a small ceremony, attended only by the people who knew our whole story and truly wished us well. There were no schemes, no contracts, only our love, lost and found again. The sun was shining, and the garden was in full bloom. She walked towards me on her father's arm, radiant in a white gown. I stood waiting for her under a floral archway, my heart filled with a love and certainty that felt as big as the world itself. As I slipped the ring on her finger, I whispered in her ear, "This time, I'm never letting you go." She looked at me, her smile as bright and brilliant as it was that summer when we were 18. "I know," she said. "I believe you."